talk about Bitcoin and income inequality. Well, the first thing to understand about income inequality is actually central banks are the primary thing that drives income inequality. And the reason for that is when central banks do their money printing, which is what they specialize in, when central banks do their money printing, the people that it hurts the most are the people that live on cash and save in cash. So if you think about this, if you are middle or high income, you can afford assets rather than savings. And with assets, if you can own property or a house or stocks or something like that, then when the government prints more money, the value of your assets tends to go up while the purchasing power of your dollars goes down. But if most of your net worth is in assets rather than in cash, it hurts you a lot less than the people who have most of their assets in cash. So if you think about it, the people who are hurt most by central government money printing are the people who have the least assets. And those with the least assets are typically sitting on cash and they're trying to save up in cash. But the harder they try to save in cash, that cash continues to lose value. And most of the places around the world, the money they use is much higher inflation than the US dollar. So the US dollar inflation is typically between 4% and 7%. And it's actually higher than that if you adjust it to a more fair measurement than the government uses. But by the government's measure, it's usually in the ballpark of at least 3%, if not sort of 4% to 9%. But in a lot of parts of the world, inflation is 40%, 50%, 100%, meaning your money's losing value at a rate of, a couple percentage points a week. So imagine how hard it is to get out of poverty when you never have enough money to buy an asset that you can then store your value in that asset. So Bitcoin fixes that because Bitcoin is an asset that can be purchased for any amount of money, unlike property. So for real estate, you typically have to have a sizable amount of money to buy real estate because you can't buy real estate in the square inch or the square foot. For example, you typically need to buy real estate in the form of a house or a plot of land or something that has some meaningful scale. So as middle and upper income people can afford houses and plots of land and buildings and things like that, poor people can't. Rich and middle and upper income people have an ability to shield themselves from inflation in a way that others do not have the ability to. Bitcoin is the great equalizer as it comes to income inequality. And fiat currencies are the greatest driver of income inequality